Hey guys, my name's Ryan and today I'll be doing the topic of animal liberation. First, what is liberation? Liberation for us may be going to class on time, or maybe getting out of class, or maybe even waking up without an alarm clock. So liberation is very subjective, and this also applies to animals. An animal's form of liberation may come out of not being experimented on, or not being placed in a zoo. But no matter what you think an animal's piece of liberation is, we can all agree that liberation for any animal comes out of freedom. Liberation is almost impossible when an authoritarian figure is being oppressive. And to animals, unfortunately, that authoritarian figure is human beings. When addressing the idea of an oppressive group of people, or the idea of suffering, philosopher Jeremy Bentham says, the question is not, can they reason, nor can they talk, but can they suffer? Meaning, suffering is inherently immoral. It does not matter who is suffering, or what is suffering. However, the act alone is considered immoral. So, whether it's a human being or it's an animal, suffering is immoral. Therefore, the only justifiable suffering to an animal is the same suffering society would deem as moral to human beings. But really, is any type of suffering ever justifiable to any sort of being, whether it's a human being or an animal? But what exactly do humans do that inflict pain on animals? Well, for starters, they experiment on them. Now this is extremely wrong for a couple of reasons. Before I get into why experimentation is unethical, first ask yourself this question. If experimentation was done on human beings, would you be for or against it? The vast majority of us would say that it's unethical to experiment on human beings. So why is it that we only experiment on animals, even though both human beings and animals suffer the exact same way? Jeremy Bentham would believe it does not follow a utilitarian ideology. This is because it takes the rights and freedoms away from animals and gives them to human beings, hindering our progress as society in the long run. Tom Reagan says that animals have rights within themselves and humans have no right to exploit animals. And animal experimentation does exactly that, exploits them. And it does so in a demeaning manner that furthers only one species, the human race. In Peter Singer's book, Animal Liberation, he says that human beings feel superior to animals, and this leads to them exploiting animals. He calls this term speciesism. It is the direct discrimination towards animals around the globe. Imagine if human beings were exploiting a particular ethnic group in order to reap benefits. Just imagine the public outcry. But unfortunately, this is not the case with animals. People don't bat an eye when it comes to the suffering of an animal. People who are in favor of animal testing, like Immanuel Kant, would say you would further medicine and technology if you continue it. Although this is true, there are also alternative methods to animal testing. For example, stem cell research and computer simulations. They do a much more effective job than animal testing. Animal testing is not the only immoral act done on animals. Human beings also eat them.
Created using Powtoon.